What is up, rockers of the Rock Nation? And this is your fellow rocker, Rockerman X here, back with another video. And well, if you can tell by the title, it's another review episode. And it's of The Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 3, Four Walls and a Roof. And so you guys know, ahead of time, if this one seems more thought out, or more better, per se, than the other ones, is because I'm actually pre-recording this for y'all. And the night of, after Talking Dead and Walking Dead went off, ironically, Walking Dead's playing again on my in the background, just turned down. But anyway, and I actually took notes of the show on my computer, so that way, I can actually talk more and actually probably get more into it, and the video would be better. But anyway, besides that, here with the actual review. And actually, before I say that, Talking Dead, another great example of reviewing stuff like that. If you guys don't watch it, watch Talking Dead too. Free promotion, I know. But tonight I had one of my all-time favorite guitar players, Slash and Larry. But now to the actual review. And now that he's gone and dead and all the Terminus people are dead, I can finally talk about my feelings on Gareth. There's things going on whether he's worse or better than the governor. Really, in my opinion, Gareth was not worse than the governor. I know some people might disagree, but he really wasn't. Because the governor, he was more smooth talking. He had a better way with words. Over his fellow. I mean, he actually had a whole society actually set up that was barely actually overthrown, except for when Rick and all them went and, and did all that. But, like I said, really the governor was a better leader per se than Gareth. Gareth, really, he's a fucking batshit crazy hipster. Cannibal batshit crazy hipster. There you go. That's all I can say on that. I'm actually glad that he's gone from the show, but at the same time, I have feels for the cast members, because once you lose a cast member, it kind of sucks when you lose them. But away from Gareth being a fucking batshit crazy hipster, as I say, but like I said, he's not worse than the governor. Simple as that. Let's see. Then you have Bob revealing that he was a bit. And it's funny because he went out with a fucking laugh. Not most people can say that they went out with a laugh, but he actually did. And which basically calls Gareth and the rest of the Terminians, as a technical term for people to call them, to eat tainted meat. And what that actually makes you wonder is, if they didn't die in this episode, would the tainted meat actually sped up the progress or what? I mean, they did say they cooked it out. But that's the thing. Would have sped up the progress or what? Of them. Oh, bless me. Whew, shit. But would it actually speed up the process of them turning, dying quicker, whatever, if they haven't died during this episode? It's just really. You really don't know. But, again, Bob going out the laugh is actually kind of funny. And, by the way, in case you're wondering, this is actually, I'm on slowly going, this is roughly in chronological order, so if I miss out on anything, I'm sorry, but it's just things that I noted, basically. But again, like I said, tainted meat, batshit, like I said, it's just funny. It was just funny, Bob going out laughing. Like I said, it does make you wonder whether or not they were smart, whatever, whether the virus actually cooked out or what it's about the process that they hadn't died. But then you have, and actually another good thing in this episode too, you actually find, well, it was revealed to us what Gabriel did for people to write on that you'll burn for this on the side of the church and all that. And apparently, he locked the doors at night, which is actually smart of him to do since he's basically himself for the most part. And then, of course, the group came looking for help to feel safe, any place to feel safe, but he didn't open the doors to let them in. The horde was basically about ready to get him. Now, with this being revealed about Gabriel, of course, which is the preacher, whatever, you really, sorry if I'm covering my mouth too, just how I'm making my thoughts here, but it really leads you down to how people's personal opinions are. Whether or not Gabriel is actually a good guy or a bad guy. Because you gotta kind of keep in mind is, yes, he is a preacher. Yes, he was by himself, and yes, he had plenty enough room to help the people. But the point being is, was he playing it smart, or was he being a bad guy in this case? And to me, he was really, to me personally, you guys might have different opinions, but he was actually probably more so playing it smart on that behalf because he didn't know the people per se. He didn't know whether or not they was bad people, right? But he did sort of redeem himself when he let Rick and people actually stay, and and he did bury all the bones of the dead from that group. That's all I can say. So Gabriel, you really can't look at him as a good guy or a bad guy. It's just whether or not he was playing a smart or a bad guy. Like I said, most likely he was playing it smart. So there's that. And then here's you have later on after that, the Terminus guys, Gareth and all of them, actually made a mark against Rick and the group by basically giving Bob back to him. And what the guy who played Gareth said on Talking Dead, I forget his name. No offense to him, but I do forget his name. Even though I just watched it, but it wasn't really revealed in the show what their plan was, but in a way it actually was. Because it was said that their plan pretty much, he said himself that in his mind, as he was playing the role, that what he thought was mostly the fact that that they gave Bob back in order to try to shake him up a bit and try to get him loose ends, because what they was going to do when Rick and them left, they was going to come in, steal Bob and all of them back, too. So there's that. But I'll get more. I'm probably trying to get more on that later on in this episode. And then you have, well, now the group finally knows actually what happened. Well, what happened to the three missing, Bob, Carol, and Daryl. At least at this point in the episode, they knew what happened. Bob came in. He explained what happened to him. About his leg being cut off. Him actually being bit, which happened in, which, if I didn't already say this, Bob being bit, which I already suspected. I didn't say this in the last episode, but I did suspect he was bit from the sewer, water, basement thing, whatever you want to call it. And he actually admitted himself that's where he was, and I already suspect that, just didn't say it. But like I said, they find out what happened to Bob first about his leg getting cut off and telling a story about what Terminus people did, blah, 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 blah. And then they also found out Carol and Daryl drove away. Which that led to some tension between Rick and Abraham. And as I said last episode, Rick and Abraham are two alphas in a group of so many people, or was two alphas, because later on I'll get this in a second. But basically, Rick and Abraham pretty much got into it and all this shit. And you can tell they was about ready to fight. And like I said, that just shows the tension between them, shows the two alpha thing about it. So there's that. And then from there you have Glenn, Maggie, and Tara. Finally remember the girl's name, shockingly, because they said in the show. I didn't know things said in the show, but I finally remembered the girl's name because I actually looked it up this time. But Glenn, Maggie, and Tara, all three of those, Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. In case you don't know who Rosita is the girl with Abraham, in exchange for their help. Now, here's the thing that I actually found a whole lot of stupid. Because with this happening, the whole principle of this, I thought, was not to split the group up again. But ultimately, this split the group up again. And quite frankly, I don't think that was a good idea to do that. It's just not. Even if Abraham and Rick was two alphas with the tension, again, Glenn and Maggie was sort of, with them not being around the main group. I mean, I know they can handle themselves with the rest of them, including Tara can possibly. It's just with them being away from the main group, how do I put this? It takes away, to me, from the essence of the main cast. Well, Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita is part of the main cast too now, technically, since they appeared. But my point taken is that it takes away from like Rick's group with him, like Michonne, Tyrese, Judith, Carl, Sasha. Did I forget who else is with them as of this point? But still, it just really does when they actually did leave away with them. That was just stupid. Even though in the end the help did pretty much help them take care of Gareth and Terminus people. So there you go. There's that. And then you have really before the whole shit went down, who had Sasha putting Tyrese in charge of putting Bob out in case Bob did end up, his heart ended up stopping, he did stop breathing, was actually dead. Really, I found this a factor in two ways. And sorry if I'm looking weird, I'm just the way I'm setting. It kind of says Sasha, though, in a way, wants to be there to do it, but and the chance that if not, she probably would rather have Tyrese to do it. Even though Tyrese was specifically telling her, mainly for her own, not really for the rest of the group, but for herself, to put away the feelings against Terminus people, put away her own personal vendetta against Bob, because at this point, Bob and Sasha is basically romantically involved. You could say that. And it was like as if Sasha was losing her boyfriend, basically. So I can see why she's pissed off at him for wanting to go out and try to hunt down Gareth and the rest of Terminus and all that, who's still alive. And that. But putting Tyrese in charge, it kind of also shows him taking responsibility again, if that says, for actually being able to kill somebody. You know, so there you go. And actually, that kind of took care of two birds with one stone, what I was going to talk about, actually, about Sasha and Bob. So, you know. But then, skip over that, and let's go into, well, the gruesomest scene, the best, I wouldn't, no, really, yeah, it would be the best scene, I would say. The whole Terminus against Rick's group breakdown. And again, Rick's plan was actually kind of brilliant for what they did. I mean, because even though it was kind of predictable, you knew Rick was probably going to show up anyway, from the dark and the rest and all that. But here's the point of what I'm saying. Really, like I said, Rick's plan and the group's plan was kind of brilliant if that was actually their plan, because Gareth went in. Because Gareth and the rest of Terminus went in and saw them leaving. After they saw him leaving and basically all this, and then their plan was, of course, to take Bob back, try to shake him up a little bit, or what the character who played Gareth said, shake him up, try to take Bob back, try to get him separated, blah blah, take him, basically trying to shake him up so they can take him down easier and pick him off. And what Rick did, of course, he came from the dark and all that shit. Funny enough, blew off Gareth's fingers. I think it was these two he blew off. I forget what hand. It was on his left hand. I'm thinking it was his left hand. But, as I said, that was actually a pretty smart plan about this whole thing, blah blah, of course. And here you see Gareth, too, as well in the scene, trying to play more. He's trying to be a nice guy, but it's not going to work out because he's like, just stop this, let us all go, blah, blah, you know, blah, blah, and all this shit. And also it shows Rick's stability in the show, too, because in a way Rick was other than Gareth or Sasha, Rick, in a way, could be considered the scariest person in this whole episode. Because Rick did, per se, the way he just took out Gareth, and what he did, it's just the way it is. But anyway, my point taken is Gareth trying to be a good guy, even though that's probably would never be the case. For that matter. And also, what happened was actually a little bit of poetic justice as well. And it also showed Rick being a man of his word, and basically him in the group not taking shit from anybody, because Rick, in the season premiere, said to Gareth about the red-handled machete. That is the exact weapon he would use to kill Gareth. it happened. So there you go. He used a red-handled machete to kill Gareth. It happened. In a way, like I said, that showed Rick being a man of his word, and basically him and the whole, like I said, him and the whole group not taking shit from anybody, and how the world has kind of turned nowadays for them to actually have to do what they have to do. I mean, of course, they've had killed numerous of walkers, numerous of people for a while now just to survive, but it really does show, after everything that happened, how they act, pretty much. And then, from there on, you show the... Well, like I said, Random Machete was poetic justice. But then from there, here's the quote. Here's actually the quote. Gabriel, he's like, this is the Lord's house. And then, I think it was Glenn who said this. I think Maggie said no, and then Glenn was like, it's just 4 walls and a roof. And this really comes true. Even a church, even if that's a sanctuary at all, or if anywhere's, it comes back to play with the whole sanctuary idea. If anywhere is really sanctuary anymore, because with the brutally murdered of the Gareth and the rest of the Terminus from that point on, thank God they were dead, but it really says something here about this. And actually, to back up a little bit, during that whole gruesome scene in the Church 2 killing scene, Michonne got her machete back in this scene. Or not machete, her katana back. Why did I say machete? But katana back in this scene. And this actually was a piece of Michonne that actually... It's weird because seeing Michonne without her machete still showed she could hold her ground. But, and you kind of think all the shit she said about her not missing it was kind of a blatant lie, but then again, you never know for sure. But her actually getting it back actually shows, hey, she actually got that piece of her that was missing back, so there you go. And then here we have Bob's final moments. Bob actually, what I find funny, unlike most of the characters, he came to them as a loner. He left them as a family, pretty much. And Bob actually, as he was going dead, he was actually still upbeat about it. As the person who played him, I forget what his name is, but the person who played him was actually upbeat about it too. So he was actually reflecting as if his character was too a little bit. So there you go. And basically when he actually died, instead of Sasha killing him like she was going to, Tyrese came in and kind of took control. Basically to stop Sasha from having to kill him. Because, you know, like I said, Sasha basically was just losing a boyfriend in this episode. But it also kind of showed Tyrese again starting to get a little bit back normal from him being able to kill and all that stuff. So, there you go. And back up a little bit more to what I missed out on, the tension between Rick and Abraham. Now, I hate jumping around like this, but it's just me either forgetting to add something in or whatnot. But it also... The tension was kind of resolved at the end when Glenn, Maggie, and Tara left with Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. Still fun. Like I said, has a stupid move, but there you go. But tension was a little bit resolved there at the end because on the map, Abraham wrote, hey, sorry for being an asshole, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. And now comes to the very end of the episode. Daryl... Well, I shouldn't give this away yet, but let's say there's something out there. Gabriel came out talking to Michonne. He went back in when he heard the noise. Michonne got up, went to check on it. It was Daryl. And that shows Daryl's actually back with the group. But here's the thing, too. And this is a real big thing. What happened to Beth, as I said, might not be as bad as what I originally thought, but who knows. And then what is happened to Carol. Because Daryl's sitting there and he's like, he's there and then Michonne, she's like, what about Carol? And then Daryl, he's just like, whatever. He's like, come on, sugar. He's like, it's alright, blah, blah, whatever, talking to whoever it was. But here's the thing. Who's actually with Daryl? My opinion, it's not Carol. Because I don't think what he said is what he said to Beth. Was something he would say to Carol. Even though I'm sure Carol, if nothing happened to her, she's still there. She just waiting for waiting for the right moment to come out. Because what I figured it'd be Beth, who Daryl found, and all that. But who knows what happened in the last episode? Or is it other? Could he have found Morgan as well? Because Morgan was hanging out and all that. But as I said, you don't really know what's still happening with Carol. What happened with Beth yet. Or who is it? Could it be Morgan? With Daryl, who knows? But, holy shit, this episode went on for about 20 minutes. I just noticed. But anyway, that's basically all I have to talk about in this episode of reviewing. And if I have to give it a fair and honest review with still retaining my biased mentality over the fact that Glenn, Maggie, and Tara left with Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita, I'd honestly... But a little bump from last week's episode. Not so much still as great as the premiere, so all things aside though, I'd give it a 4.8 out of 5 stars. Still pretty good, at least to me. Like I said, other than the whole Glenn, Maggie, and Tara leaving with Abraham and the rest, or fact of it is, even and plus that church scene where they killed him was still gruesome. Still, like I said, the best scene in the show by far. Thank God the Terminus people are dead. Thank God Daryl showed back. Thank God for right now. It's just pretty good. Like I said, 4.8 out of 5 stars, and that's about the end of this episode. So, hopefully... Oh, by the way, before I go, also, down in the description below, if any of you guys want to be a greater part of the Rock Nation, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, or down in the description below, there's a link to my Facebook page. And if you guys would like to like my Facebook page, stay part of some discussions I might go on, or be part of the greater part of the Rock Nation as the rockers you are, then go ahead and like my Facebook page. That's all I gotta say. But until next time, live free and rock, rockers.